All right, so this is our college project that we worked on our last year, in our senior year of electrical engineering at City College. Basically, this it's called the Ethel home security system. We came up with this security system for old people or people who have to take care of their elders, but for some reason, at some point, they have to leave them alone at the house, and they feel insecure because maybe this person is not able to do certain things alone, and they might be scared that they could fall, and there's nobody there, and some other reasons. So basically, the way the system works is that you would have a motion sensor box in each one of the rooms, right? And you will be able to track the time that the elder spends in each one of these rooms. The way it does it is that as long as the elder is moving in their room, you would have a timer restarting every time there's movement or every time it detects movement. When there's no movement, then the timer will run out, and the person that's taking care of the elder will get alerted either through text or a phone call, right? And you can see we have the timer on that corner. So basically, that's the main feature of the project. The other feature is the gas sensor. So we're sensing gas on the kitchen because some elders might like to cook, and you know accidents happen. So you might get a gas leak or uh, you know sufficient amount of smoke in the house. So we have a sensor for that as well. Um, and the way that works is that as soon as it detects gas or a lot of smoke in the kitchen, then it would automatically shut down the gas valve, right? So without anybody having to do anything, if there's a minimum amount of gas detected, there's a motor attached to the gas supply of the house that would close it as soon as as soon as it detects gas. So let's just go through each one of the components. That way it's more understandable. So in the corner we have the timer attached to the Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi, it's our main computer. This is our server, and this is what controls the whole system. So you can see there's the timer attached to it. Each sensor has a timer associated, not a timer, but a count associated with it. It's just one timer, and each one of these devices have it triggers the timer to restart to a certain time. For instance, you might set up the bathroom sensor to be perhaps an hour. In the living room, you might set it up to be 3 hours. So when there's movement on the living room, the timer is going to restart to 3 hours. When there's movement on the bathroom, then the timer is going to restart to 1 hour, right? As long as there's movement, the timer will keep restarting to that time associated with that room. Okay, so that is the Raspberry Pi. These small devices here are the Node MCUs. These are basically our transceivers. This is what allows the communication between the device and the main server over there. So for this one over here, you see this is a gas sensor. This is what is going to detect the gas leak. As soon as it detects it, it's going to shut the valve. For this demo, I basically just constructed a small... So this is a small demonstration. But that motor over there is basically what's going to be attached to the gas valve, and is going to turn and shut the gas supply as soon as there's any gas detected. You can see that is also attached to a Node MCU. The two boxes in the back, those are my motion sensors attached with Node MCUs also. And then this middle one here is a door sensor, right? So you have this small piece that basically goes on the door of the house, and then that box will go on the wall. So anytime they are separated, it sends a signal to the Raspberry Pi, and it allows us to track time associated with whether the door was open or not, because you also want to track if the elder left the house. So yeah, basically these are the components on the system. So now we could go ahead and do a little demonstration here. Let's see if I hope everything, you can see everything there. I have this here because the light is kind of like not letting it, not letting the whole thing see. Okay, great. So how does it work? So the way we have it is that when the timer runs out, if there's always movement in the house, it shouldn't run out, right? So right now I have 520 seconds to the door sensor. That way I can talk and explain what's happening, and it gives me enough time. So if the timer at any point runs out, that means there's no movement, meaning the elder hasn't moved, meaning something's wrong, right? So at that stage, the person that's taking care of the elder will get a text, and I'm gonna use my phone for this demonstration. The person will get a text. The text basically is gonna indicate that the timer has run out. It's gonna indicate the particular room. And the main thing is just to alert the person that there's something wrong, right? It can be, let's just say for example, you set the timer on the bathroom for an hour, and an hour went by and there's no movement in the whole house or in the bathroom, then there's something wrong, right? So let's just see. We can start with the sensors in the back. As you see, I have them facing in opposite directions because they're very sensitive, so any movement will trigger the timer. So the one on the right, I believe it has 40 seconds if I'm not mistaken. So if there's movement on that one, look at the timer and you will see that it goes to 40 seconds, right? So basically every time there's movement in that room, you will get 40 seconds, no matter what, right? Now, let's go to the other sensor. You're gonna have 60 seconds on your timer when you have movement. So imagine the scenario where, the elder is in the kitchen or in the bathroom for some reason. As long as they're moving, the timer is gonna keep restarting to that time, right? It's gonna keep restarting to, in this case, 40 seconds. And I have it like not too sensitive in this case, because if I put it too sensitive, then anything would trigger it. So let's just say they're here. It's gonna keep restarting to 40 seconds, and then they decide, let's say, to go to the bathroom. As soon as they go in the bathroom, then another timer begins. So imagine a box in each room. As long as there's movement, the timer is gonna keep restarting. What else? So that's basically it for the motion sensors. As far as the door sensor in the middle, so let's just say the elder is leaving the house and they open the door. When they open the door, these two come apart and you can see the timer went to 520, and then they close the door. Now they're outside and the timer keeps running the same way, right? If that timer runs out, that means that the elder's been outside of the home for way too long. So you would also get an alert in that case. Now when they come back in, right, they will open the door, your timer will reset, and then they close it. But they are inside the house, so they might go to the bathroom, and when that happens, then you're gonna get your 40 seconds. So basically the timer is continuous, right? It's always running, it's always counting. You don't want it to run out, obviously, because that means no movement, and the user would get an alert. I will show that at the end. Okay, so let's go with the gas portion now. Alright, so now I'm gonna show the second portion of the project, which is the gas detection and closing the gas valve. So essentially the purpose of this feature is to cut down the gas supply that's going into the kitchen, or perhaps what's going into the house, in order to avoid a fire or any accidents in the kitchen. So basically, sometimes your elder is perhaps cooking, or they might not be so sensitive to the smell of gas. So you don't want them to be alone in the house and having to face a situation like this. So for that purpose, what we have here is a gas sensor, and you also have the servo motor over there. So the gas sensor, obviously, is going to detect any gas leak that that uh, that is present in the kitchen. And once it detects that, it's going to do two things, right? It's going to detect, it's gonna detect the gas as a signal, and it's gonna send another signal to the Raspberry Pi, who's gonna send a text to the user alerting them that there's a gas leak in the house. The second thing that it's gonna do is that it's gonna send a signal to the servo motor over there, that's going to be attached to the gas supply of the house, the gas valve, right? So as soon as there's a gas leak, you're going to see that motor turn, which means that the gas supply has been cut down for just to avoid more leak. Two things that you're gonna look for in the demonstration is once I'm gonna be putting gas with a lighter. So once I put gas with it, the the motor, you're gonna see a turn, is gonna shut, and you're also gonna hear a sound on my cell phone, which is the notification to the user telling them that there's a gas leak in the house, right? So let's see. Alright, so just pay attention to the motor once I put gas. Alright, that's it. Right, you see a turn. You should hear the sound now on my phone. There you go. So I got the text. The gas valve has been shut. So if we look over here, we have, let me see. Okay, we're not being very friendly with the. Okay, well, anyway, what it says there is that sent from Twilio trial account. We're using Twilio for this project. Obviously, if you want to go ahead and not have a trial, they have a few other features if you subscribe to their service, and yeah, it's pretty useful interface, I'll say, especially for this project. So it says gas leak detected. Text back for shut off instructions. So basically, what it's telling you is, we have shut the gas valve already. So let's just say an emergency happened, and you do want to, you want to take care of it. Let's say you probably get involved with the fire department. So after the issue is taken care of, you don't really have to be back in the house to turn it back on. So what's cool about this is that you can reopen the gas valve from your phone, right? So at this point, it's just telling you to text back for instructions. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put anything, right? So you're gonna see that now it's gonna text me back, telling me that please reply with the following text to reopen the gas valve. So I have to text back reopen. So once I do that, you're gonna see, just observe the motor over there, that once I send this text, it's gonna reopen. There you go. So you can open the gas valve without having to be at the house, and it's telling me there that the gas valve was reopened, right? So pretty simple, and you still have the whole system running, right? So this gas operation is independent from the movement on the sensors that we show before. So if you look at, this is the door sensor as I showed before. If I remove this, you can notice that the timer restarted to 520, right? Just like I showed before, when you open the door, it's gonna send a signal, and then they close it. This is just to track the elder if they go outside of the house. what else? So I think I have this sensor on. If I go ahead and I move my hand here on this sensor, you will see that timer going to 60, right? So as you see, like everything keeps working normally, independent from each other, and nothing, none of these components depend on the other, except obviously for the gas portion. But it's good. It's life. It's a continuous tracking of time and the status of the elder in general. I could go ahead and put more gas here, and the motor should turn and shut the gas supply. So yeah, that's basically it. Took us about 7-8 months to complete this. And then I think the last thing I want to show, I'm gonna let the time run out, just so that you guys know that, because if it runs out, that means there's no movement and you wanted to get a text. So I'll let it run out just to have that as the final demonstration. 2, 1, and that's it. So it restarts to 200. However, because it restarted, you just heard the sound. You just heard the sound of the text. So that's giving me a different warning, and what it's saying there is that your elder might need your help inside the bathroom, right? So it even tells me which timer ran out. That sensor over there in the corner has the bathroom sensor. That's how we labeled it. So if you want to take care of your elder, you're not home. You would even know, like, where have they spent too much time, and which room they have spent too much time. So this is basically it. And if you have any comments or questions, let me know.